At the beginning of September 2024, we were lucky enough to cruise on the beautiful Sky Princess, and this is our cruise review. To make it easier, we'll break the review down into several sections, which include embarkation, food, our cabin, entertainment, bar service, and our overall impression of the cruise. So Lindsay, let's begin by talking about our embarkation. And it was a bit fraught at places, wasn't it?
Well, the actual embarkation was fine once you got into the terminal. It was actually getting that far that was the problem, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, we both had differing experiences because of the problem we had with car parking.
You went in one direction and I went in the other.
And you went in the other, but you had the problem with the luggage, didn't you?
Well, yes, yeah. That was a long, drawn out process to drop off the luggage, and it was just one disaster after another, really. But the drop off place wasn't organised at all. The staff just weren't terribly good. The ones that were good were trying to manage the others and manage the passengers. It was just a mess, really.
However, as soon as we actually got into the terminal itself, check-in was fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we went through the elite line.
Yeah.
So we were through a little bit quicker than everybody else.
Yeah.
Although it didn't make that much difference to us. But yeah, from that point on, it was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the next topic is something that's pretty close to our hearts, and that's food.
Oh, yeah.
So let's have a chat about perhaps the buffet, first of all.
Well, I thought the buffet on Sky Princess was excellent. There was a really good choice of food, a huge variety, and the actual food itself, as you can see here in the pictures, was excellent. My only issue is the always ongoing issue that we have in the buffet is at times it's difficult to get a seat.
Yeah, it's difficult to get a seat, and then when you get a seat, the food's cold. The one thing I will say is that particularly at breakfast times, they're very good at coming around with the tea and the coffee on trolleys, aren't they?
Yeah, very good. You don't get that on all cruise lines, and that was a real bonus.
It was. What about the main dining room?
Well, I am very impressed with the main dining room on Sky Princess. I think it's probably some of the best main dining room food we've had post-pandemic. I think the choice was huge. The food was interesting, and it was good quality as well.
Yeah, well, we didn't eat there every night, but when we did, we really enjoyed the options that were available to us. It was served nicely, and it was largely at the right temperature, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we were treated very specially by a little man on the doorway that always found us a nice seat. We like the quieter areas of the restaurant, so out on the two wings of the restaurant, there's a little sort of area there that you can sit in, and it's nice and quiet, because it did get a little bit rowdy in there at times.
I think they just pushed us in the corner out of the way. No, seriously, it was a nice place to sit, and very often we were lucky enough to be sitting near a window, which is always quite good. If we move on to some of the speciality dining that we tried, should we look at probably our favourite, Crown Grill?
Well, Crown Grill, excellent. Again, I can't fault it.
No, I know.
We had difficulty in getting the bookings when we were on board. That is becoming a problem now, especially with the Princess Premier having unlimited specialty dining. It's becoming a little bit of a problem to actually get the booking in the first place. But once we got in there, it was great. Service was a little bit slower the second time, but
it didn't really matter in there, though, did it?
No.
Because you could sit and enjoy the food, and actually sitting between the courses and waiting a little bit was beneficial in many respects.
Yeah, and the service was excellent.
How do they get their steaks like that?
I don't know how they get their steaks so consistent every time.
Yeah, it was really good.
I mean, you're not really a steak person, but you love the steaks in there.
Yeah, very much so. I would go for the filet mignon every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite there being sea bass on the menu.
I know. It was a bit of a choice sometimes. Perhaps one day I'll have to have both. And that's greedy.
Yeah.
What about Sabatini's, which has always been a bit of a favourite of ours, really?
Sabatini's, it wasn't as good this time. I don't know why. The atmosphere wasn't the same. Usually they staff it with mainly Italian staff, we've noticed in the past, and we've had Luigi a few times and he entertains us as well. But it wasn't quite the same, and we had a problem with the focaccia bread as well, didn't we?
Oh, it was just full of oil, wasn't it?
It was soggy. It was dripping on me.
Yes, it did.
It did. It dripped on my trousers.
It did. But they weren't apologetic about that. They just said, oh, that's the way we do it. Well, it's not.
Well, it hasn't been in the past. And I don't know, the food was just, they weren't so amenable there as they were in other places. We asked to share a lasagna for the main course because...
And they said they couldn't do it.
And they said they couldn't do it. You know, I just don't...
Why couldn't they bring out one plate full of food and two plates?
Empty plates, yeah.
I just thought it was a little bit more, shall we say, business-like rather than speciality.
Yeah.
It didn't really make us feel that special.
No, it was get you in and out the door. However, then we come to the next speciality that we did.
Which was Rudy's.
Our first time catch at Rudy.
Yeah, we were a little bit sceptical about it because although I like seafood, there's a lot of seafood I'm not overly keen on. So we were, and you actually... are a bit more fussy about your fish than I am.
Well, I've got food allergy for some fish, so I have to be very careful.
The greeting in there was really nice. Our bums barely hit the chair by the time we got the first glass of Prosecco, which was
champagne.
Oh, champagne, wasn't it?
It was champagne in there.
Right, okay. Well, it was bubbly anyway.
Yeah. With fruit as well.
Yeah. That was served really nicely. The waiters were very amenable. The choices were actually... very good, and there were meat dishes on there as well for those people that weren't overly keen on fish.
Yeah.
I just made a mistake ordering the sweet, which I thought would have been different to what it was, but I won't make that mistake again.
No, my main course I had a problem with, but it was special in there, and they made you feel special.
Even though that, you say you had a little bit of an issue with your main course, and I had a bit of an issue with my choice of sweet, but it didn't detract from the fact that we had a really nice night in there.
Super night. Made us feel very special. Only criticism up there is the location.
It's located. Yeah.
Because it gets very, very noisy. If you've got a band performing down in the piazza, it just gets very noisy. And some of you have commented on our vlogs about how noisy it was, and they couldn't really hear us talking very well. And we can't do a lot about it, unfortunately. It's the way the ship is in places. And
worse than that, the night that we were in, people were coming out from the theatre, although there were barriers of some sort, bollards or chairs or something, put across the walkway, they moved them and walked straight through the restaurant.
Yeah.
Instead of walking around the other side.
Yeah.
It's a shame because it makes it not a special restaurant to go into. But I think the next time we're on there, we will ask to be sitting in a more secluded place. Yeah, just to get out of the way of all that.
Down the bottom corner where they've got all the plates on the wall and things like that. Room service, Lindsay. What was our experience like?
Well, our experience was good.
It was.
As always on Princess. We've not had an issue with room service on Princess.
No.
We might have occasionally, when it's really busy, had a little bit more of a wait. And I would perhaps say that the coffee isn't overly hot when it comes.
No.
But actually, the rest of it, there is nothing to complain about. It's fairly prompt. It's nice quality. When you order drinks on the app, it comes to your room as well.
Yeah, well, we ordered a couple of cocktails one time when we had lunch on the balcony of the cabin, didn't we?
It worked really well for us.
Yeah.
Very good.
And, I think our maximum wait was about 20 minutes for anything that we ordered on room service, which I think is acceptable.
Then we also tried all the burgers at Slice.
Slice and the pizza. I thought the pizza up at Slice was excellent. That day we had some at lunchtime and it was really, really good. And I preferred it to the pizza we had in Alfredo's.
Well, I'm not a huge pizza lover, am I? But I think the base of the pizza that we had at Slice was better than the stuff that we had in Alfredo's, which 2 years ago would have been the other way around. But the hot dogs were good.
Oh, well, yeah, your area of expertise, Lindsay, the hot dogs.
Yes, but I'm not so keen on burgers, so you tend to have those, and I tend to have the hot dogs.
No, the burgers were good, but I did have a few hot dogs as well, and they're very good.
Alfredo's, having mentioned it, Alfredo's, we were disappointed, weren't we?
Well, Alfredo's and Vines are included in the Princess Premier package, and in the Princess Plus package, you get 2 visits to there or the sushi bar, which we didn't actually visit.
No.
So this was one of our sort of special dinings, and I think it's about $15 a head if you have to pay for it. And we've enjoyed Alfredo's in the past. We've usually gone in for their lunch, but we thought we'd sort of give it best and eat there in the evening one time, didn't we?
Yeah. I think it's become more of a pizza house, if that makes any sense, rather than a pizzeria that's a little bit more special.
The crusts on our pizzas were really, really thick, and the topping didn't go anywhere near the edge of the crusts.
No.
And it was almost, I don't like wasting food, but it was sort of getting to the point nearly where I would cut the crusts off because they were just so thick and so much of it.
However, then you go to Vines, and we did this because we were able to.
Because we were told. Could. Yeah, because somebody told us about it. We didn't realise it.
Do that again.
Oh, very much so.
And definitely a lunchtime snack.
Yes.
We had the charcuterie plate.
Yep.
We just had one between two of us.
We shared one between the two of us, yeah.
I don't think I'll be sharing again. But it was really nice. With sat down with a glass of wine or a pint of beer. It was really just hit the spot.
Yeah.
The service was nice. It was quite fairly prompt.
Yep.
And just really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I would go there again. Be good.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, Linz, what about our cabin? We booked a specific type of cabin for one reason, to give us a bit more space on the balcony, and it worked, I think, don't you?
Oh, it certainly didn't disappoint, did it?
No.
We were able to sit out on the balcony, even when it was a little bit drizzly or windy, because we had that little bit of shade above us. So we had the best of both worlds, really.
The only one issue that we had with the balcony really was when they were washing the handrails up above us, and we got wet one day.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise.
But that's because the balcony sticks out a bit further, and some people may have an issue with privacy. We don't really do anything on the balcony that we wouldn't worry about other people seeing us do, like eating, drinking, sleeping maybe.
Yeah.
It's something that we're getting quite aware of now, having cruised quite a lot, to actually look at the balcony, look at the cabins and see what's on offer. And we're starting to book quirky little cabins that are a little bit different to other things, and finding them. And they are out there, and our travel agent was very helpful with that as well, because he pointed out to us. The only other thing you have to be aware of when choosing a cabin, if you choose something that is a little bit different, is to not tick the auto upgrade box. Otherwise you might end up with something not as good.
Yeah. And actually I think that we've found the benefit of having a preferred travel agent, so that we get that advice, because they're very good at picking up on any particular issues that cabins have as well.
Yeah.
Some do, there's no doubt about that. So there's advice available out there, and it's also why we film all our cabin, really, because people can then see what we saw.
It suited us.
It did. It's a good choice, that one.
So next on the agenda, which is also something very close to our hearts, is entertainment. On this cruise, we enjoyed 3 production shows. Well, I guess enjoyed might be stretching it a bit for one of them. So we had rock opera, which is one of our favourites.
It is, and we've seen it several times and thoroughly enjoy it every time. And actually we sat in a different part of the theatre each time and enjoyed it wherever we were sat, because sometimes that can make a difference. The performances were very good.
They were very good. Then we had Five Skies,
yeah,
which is not one of our favourites.
No.
We can't fault the production. We can't fault the effort the performers are putting in. The special effects and lighting and costumes are all excellent.
It just doesn't do it for us, does it? And
No.
there is just that certain something that for us, it doesn't work.
And then the third one, which was a real breath of fresh air, was the Spotlight Bar. And what did you think of that one?
I really enjoyed that. It gave the opportunity for the performers to show off their acting skills as well as their singing and dancing skills. It was very well performed.
I really enjoyed it and well worth going to see, and I could see that time and time again.
Yeah.
Then we come on to the guest performers in the main theatre, most of which I think were excellent.
Yes, we saw some very funny acts.
Well, we had one bizarre one, didn't we? We had that BMX bloke on a bicycle cycling around the stage and jumping up and down on his bike. And
see, I'm still trying to forget that one.
Yeah.
I can understand them trying to do something a little bit different, but no.
No. We had magicians.
Yes.
Good magicians.
Oh, yes.
Gareth Oliver.
Oh, he was just so funny.
I mean, he was a ventriloquist, but he was probably one of the best comedians we had on there.
Yeah.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
And
if anybody sees him listed anywhere, just go and see him, because he's worthwhile.
Really, really funny. And then something that we hadn't experienced before on Sky or any other ship really was the Laughter Lounge.
Yeah, that was a new innovation, I would have thought. Some other cruise companies do that sort of thing.
Well, Carnival's got sort of like a comedy club on there.
Yeah. Not all of the comedians were to everybody's taste, and that wasn't because they were rude. It's because some of them, their manner was perhaps not what a lot of people were looking for. They were a bit. Well, one of them was a bit fringy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a bit fringy. He was good. Tom Deacon, wasn't it? Yeah. I thought he was great.
I thought he was very good. You had to listen to what he was saying.
Yes.
Because that's where the comedy was.
Yes. Lovely. And another alternative venue to go to. So most nights they were different shows, both in the theatre and the Laughter Lounge was in the Vista Lounge. A really good addition. Then we come to the bands and musicians.
Varying degrees of quality.
Oh, the house band was good.
The house band was very good, actually.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
And there were two similar couples with a pianist and a female singer. Yeah. One of them we preferred to the others.
Yeah, and I think they were probably better in certain areas of the ship because they moved them around a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah.
And at times they were a little bit loud for the venue that they were in.
Yes, we suffered a bit. It was just too loud in places, as for a lot of things in the ship. The atrium sometimes overflowed through all the bars and things in that area, and it just got a bit too much at times.
Yeah, but they were quite nice. Yes, I say one was probably better than the other, but yeah, they were all right.
They were good. And then we had Mr. Echo Man. Poor chap. He was a guitarist, and he had this problem. You've probably seen it in the vlogs, and his sound was set up all wrong one night in the Vista Lounge. Poor devil. And it wasn't good, was it?
He was playing at the in the cocktail time for the Elite Lounge, wasn't he? And I don't think anybody could really get over what was happening. There was a table behind us, and one of the ladies said, "I'm fine. I've turned my hearing aid off."
Yeah.
It was painful.
But it wasn't. A lot of it wasn't his fault. It was the sound text that was wrong. Yeah. And then they also had some like pop-up shows, didn't they? Do you remember that one in the Piazza that night with those? They were sort of comedy mime artists that weren't quiet, that were shouting and screaming,
pretending to be Italian.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it was.
I'm not really sure what it was. It was a clowning type pop-up show.
Lots of other entertainment on board during the day. You had the crew against passenger competitions. Are always a good bit of fun. Yeah.
I know quite a lot of it is staged, but actually there are times when you can tell it's not.
Yeah.
And when the host is just falling about laughing themselves,
you
know something's gone wrong.
Yeah. Cruise director Aaron, he was a little bit loud at times, but He was very entertaining, very welcoming, very happy to chat to you as well.
Yeah.
And they had a huge range of like game shows and bits and pieces like that. The only problem with the game shows which are held in the live lounge is getting a seat.
Yeah. Very, very difficult. The only way to do it is to go in early.
Yeah.
And sit through the whole evening, really.
Yes.
And I know that they have almost one after the other, but you don't really want to sit there all evening, but it's the only way to keep a seat there.
Yeah, so really, there's plenty going on.
Oh, there's loads going on.
Loads going on. So I'd like to talk a little bit now about our experience of the bar and waiter service.
Oh, wake me up. Yes, bar and waiters.
Bar and waiter service. Now, you set off with your challenge, didn't you, Lindsay? And I think if the bar service wasn't up to scratch, you wouldn't have been able to do as well as you did.
No, we've always found the bar service on Princess Cruises to be really quite good.
And service with a smile as well.
Service with a smile. Some of the waiters we got to know quite well. And if you sit back and watch them and watch how professional they are and the different characters that they have that they bring to each of the bars. Yeah. It's quite interesting. I love sitting at the bar and watching them make their cocktails and things. I just think sometimes it's just mesmerising what they're doing and how quickly they're doing it.
I know we did hear criticism from some of the other passengers that the bar service was slow. I don't think the bar service was slow. I think the waiting service was slow at times.
They had created this extra seating space, haven't they?
Yes.
And I think that was impacting on that particular bar because that's where people were going to get served.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the right amount of bar staff there.
You couldn't get many more in there. It's only a small bar.
No, the waiters rather, not the bar staff. The waiters. There was a lack of waiters.
Yeah.
And some of those were perhaps better than others.
The problem is then, and we noticed it in Bellini's as well, is you have a knock-on effect. So if you have a lot of people queuing at the bar people will serve them first, rather than serving the tickets of the waiters. And how many times did we look up at the bar and there were 4 or 5 waiters stood there at the end of the bar waiting for their drinks?
But there's also a knock-on effect to the lack of seating around, in the fact that even if they had asked people to go and sit down and they would come to them, there was nowhere for people to sit. We didn't really have too much of an issue. I think there was one night that we had a bit of an issue. But other than that, we didn't have a problem.
No, it was good. But I know other people were unhappy about the bar service.
Yeah. So let's look at the overall view of what we thought of the cruise.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I was on a cruise. Of course I enjoyed it. No, it was a very enjoyable cruise. Yeah. We met some really nice people, some of whom we expected to meet.
Yes.
Because we knew they were going. And others that we met on board or on land even, that we had no idea who they were to start with, but would come up and say hello, which was really nice. It made a difference to the cruise, actually.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. There were obviously a couple of bits and pieces, like the lack of seating sometimes, that I didn't particularly enjoy. But that's one of the reasons that we chose a balcony cabin, was so that if we did have that issue, we could go and relax on our balcony, which we did.
Yeah, I think I thoroughly enjoyed the cruise, and would be very happy to go on Sky again.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a little bit more problematic than the last time we were on Sky, mainly because we had 3,600 passengers rather than 2,500 as we did before. My main criticism of Sky Princess is the lack of seating in public areas.
Well, they have tried to change that, but they haven't changed it enough.
Either lack of seating or too many people, whichever way you look at it. And the other problem is it's very noisy in most places, and it has come out in a lot of our blogs where we've been in bars or we've been in restaurants or we've just been sat somewhere having a chat, and it's been noisy. It wasn't as noisy outside as we suffered on Celebrity Silhouette.
No.
Which was painful at times, but it is a noisy ship. There are no quiet areas to sit down and read a book. because there is so much entertainment going on all day long that there are no quiet places.
And I think some of that frustration bears out in some of the behaviour of some of the other passengers that we've noticed.
Yeah.
That tempers get a little frayed, people get a bit impatient, and that's very difficult. But if you can get past that and look past that, then there's nothing wrong with the ship as such.
No.
The staff are working really hard.
They are. And outside, Lindsay? The outside areas?
Well, they were all right. But then I didn't really want to go and sit in the sun.
No, I still miss the fact that there is no prom deck on there.
Yeah.
I don't like ships without prom decks. I do miss that.
But it has got a sea screen, and we really enjoyed the sea screen.
We did, yeah. We had the sea screen. We saw a film up there one night, Mission Impossible, wasn't it?
It was a bit chilly, but it was...
And it was great. But daytime on a sunny day, again, seating...
Oh, it wasn't just the seating that was at the premium, it was also the beach towels, or the sunbed towels.
Yeah.
Because people were using so many of them. But the secret is that there are too many passengers on the ship.
Yes.
But that's not going to change either.
No, that's not going to change either. So I think we had a great cruise. We had a great time. The itinerary suited us. We did some different things when we were ashore.
Yeah, we did.
Mainly on our own, without excursions, but it was a good time we had. The evenings were good. The entertainment was good.
Food was good.
The food was very good. And we had a really great time. If you found this review helpful and informative, perhaps you'd like to subscribe to the channel. And if there's anything else you'd like to know in particular, just put it in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer. Or if not, visit our website and contact us there.